Good evening. I will start differently because we are in a space, it's very nostalgic for me. Um, I explained to Hakan before um, when I was in the high school, which is the Istanbul Boys School, which is in the old city. My father said me in summer, so everybody is somewhere in Bodrum or somewhere in the south in Turkey, but you have to work. And I worked with 16 on the reception of here, 2 summers long. But then I was a student in Vienna. Mm, I was 10 years in Vienna as a student. It's a long time. Normally, you finished in 5, 6 years. And when I finished the school, my father, who was an architect as well, he said, come back to Istanbul. But I don't want to start with him in his praxis, which is normal. And then I said, what can I do? I want to be more on the construction side. And the owner of this hotel, he called me 5 minutes ago, he's alive, was a good friend of my father that I worked here in the reception. He wanted the second part of this building at that time. It must be, I think, 90s. And then he had already an architect. He smoked a lot. He couldn't move up all the floors. So I had to be the site architect. And then because I was the son of the friend, he gave me a room next to him. And then he said, Murat, I want the best hotel at that time. But there was nothing in Turkey, no toilets, no geberit, no tiles, nothing. So we made a 1 week trip in Europe with him and to buy all the equipments of this hotel. Even these dividing walls, it was nothing like this. And that was the first time I was on the site and learned also from a client how they are thinking, which is good or not, I don't know. Okay, let's start. I will start with a very important project for me. Um, it's the Atatürk Cultural Center, which is it's starting like this. Okay, then I can make like this. Yeah. Okay. Which is two generation projects. It started with my father, 60s, and then I made the building again, Opera House of Istanbul. We are now somewhere in the old city. This is the new, at that time, that was the new city of Istanbul, or they should be the new part of Istanbul. And uh, Taksim is on one of the 7 hills. It's the top point, one of the top points of Istanbul. And Taksim means in Turkish dividing. Uh, so if you go to Taksim Place, the first building which was built was the building. It's a stone long building. On the top is now next to it is a new mosque, but it was the first building which was dividing the water uh, of this area. And but this place, starting from the new at that time the modern Istanbul till today, was also very political place. 1st of May, here you can see some photos. We had some one year was a very um, not a nice 1st May. We had many problems, many people died. We had also but a Gezi Park demonstrations there. So that's why this building that I will tell you now has a lot of history. This is a plan from the city planner Prost. He was invited 50s to Istanbul to make a new part, let's say at that time, modern Istanbul. The main idea was, as you can see in the middle, the Green Park. The Green Park is starting from the Bosphorus, where the stadium now is, and then going up. and coming till to the Taksim place. Also in his master plan, he said there should be also a cultural house, an opera house, which was missing at that time in Istanbul. That was the place at that time, and they invited, because he was a French city planner, architect, he invited Auguste Perret to make an opera building. And Auguste Perret was one of the architects at that time who made many opera houses, city opera houses. And then it was the classical period of architecture. Of course, his design was like the others in other cities of Europe. And he worked for the municipality of Istanbul. Um, and according to his sketches, they made also this row construction. But then, typically in cultural buildings, there is no budget anymore. It stopped, and then many years it was like this building. At that time, my father, this is a photo 1950 in Hanover in Germany. Why in Germany? Because he was a young student in the technical university in Istanbul first. And at that time, you have to think many architecture professors that was after the World War, mostly Jewish, or people they want to be not in the Germany. They came also to Turkey. Not only architects, also doctors, lawyers, and other disciplines. But my father was educated with German architects, and that was he had that influence from them. That's why after he finished the school, Technical University, he went to Hanover to work there by Professor Graubner. And Professor Grabner also he made his doctor work about theater buildings, because we have to think it was the war, Second World War. Many buildings in the cities, mostly theater and opera buildings, collapsed. Either they renovate them or they made them again. So my father was a part of these projects through Professor Grabner, and he learned also at that time how to make a theater house. This is, I think, the beginning of this project in Istanbul. When he came back, this is one of his first sketches. This is from another hill looking to Taksim Place. Uh, the middle building you can see, and we have to think this is 1960s, one of the first modern buildings, plus one of the most biggest buildings in town. So if you go now around Istanbul, there are many buildings now, higher one or bigger ones, big shopping centers. But at that time, that was a big scale building to design. His idea was very new, not only as a building, also as a program. He said it should be not only one opera house with one hall, it should be a cultural center. At that time, uh, they called it, I don't like the palace in these days, but they called it Istanbul Cultural Palace. And but he sketched, and then they started, and he had to, in the heart, he had to keep the raw construction of the old building because of the budget reasons, I think. And then these are his first sketches also for the interior. I can remember this model. I was a very young kid in his office. You can see the influence of the German architecture. The forehang facade, like the Germans said, it's a secondary facade, aluminum facade in front of a that at that time it was one glass, not double glass. It was just one glass, and then he needed 17 years. He worked also with Turkish and also with German. I remember the guy next to him, Willy Ehle. He was the technical director of Düsseldorfer Schauspielhaus. Maybe you remember. This is a very nice organic building in Düsseldorf, still the opera house. So he had a good team, because if you make a big building and if it's an opera building, you need a good team. And then, of course, he had a Käfer Volkswagen brought from Germany. This is a side photo, and I was there young with my mother next to the building in an apartment. After 17 years, he finished the building. He was not only an architect, he was also the man on the site, control on the site. So he was also working not a freelancer architect, because at that time we have to think in Turkey, there was not big offices to make a building like this. So he said to the government, I need an office. And he built this office with him together, which is very important in these days. He had a lighting consultant, stage design consultant, acoustic consultant, which was very new for a country like us. And this is the opening day. The building was finished. They had to import many things like this facade. There was no aluminum in Turkey at that time. They had to import this from Germany, from Solingen. You know, Solingen, you have the pork and knife. The aluminum came because he wanted a special aluminum, which is called prenatal. It's gray because he was more a black gray man. So I remember it. This is the opening night, the ceremony. And 1 year, the building was the main building, but 1 year later, it burned down. A little bit like in Barcelona, you have the Liceo de Opera from Morales. And I remember I was 9 years old, I think. That was all the newspaper full. They are saying 20 years, they built in 45 minutes, the building was burned. That was the next day, I remember also. And of course, my father, technical directors, everybody was on the court because they are responsible. But my father was so German, so he had all the papers. And at that time, we have to think we had not so many rules for fire, and so also not in the world, but also not in Turkey. But he said to the people, so it was a technical problem, so it came from the stage. And but people, it was during it was the, in German it's Hexenkessel. How do you say cadı kazanı in English? So there is an opera where the woman is saying it's fire, and really fire came from the stage. 1,300 could go out, so nobody died. So and then they said to him, make it again. This is another funny story. I found this. Maybe you went to Istanbul Modern, the new from Renzo Piano. Before Renzo Piano, we changed the entrepot to the first Istanbul Modern. There was an exhibition. This is the man on the left is a very famous artist and also an interior architect. Without asking my father, they invited him to make the interior of the project when he made this again. But there are two different, he was coming from Paris, very bohemian, my father from Germany, very technocrat, so they hated each other. And then he had to go away. And but then I saw after many years, he made a painting of my father, is saying he is the cultural keeper of Istanbul. Now their graves are together, so next to it. Okay, then he needed 7 years to make this building again. What was changed? The outside was not changed. Inside, of course, every architect is changing after many years his idea, but he wanted to keep the facade. But at that time, it was not imported anymore. Most of the parts of the buildings was made then in Turkey. And at that time, we have to think the industry started in Turkey. I think we had the first Turkish refrigerator in our house. It was Arçelik from a Koç family. And because they are friends, my father told them to make a facade in that factory. and this facade was made then in a refrigerator factory at that time. Now we have many aluminum firms in Turkey, but that was maybe also one of the beginnings, this building, for the industry of architecture and buildings. Inside, he used local stones, travertine and a base stone from Bursa. You can see the nice aluminum staircase. It's at that time, and that was the main hall. Stage design they had to import because it came from Vienna, but at that time they had the best stage design also for the opera house. Many years it was our culture center. With the new building, the name changed to Atatürk Culture Center. Turkish people are very proud if there is a name of Atatürk. Is the founder of our republic. Also in these times, it's very important for us. And the name was very important, the place. But the building started to have problems, technical problems. We had 1999 earthquake, as you maybe you know, and then we changed all the rules in Turkey for earthquake. So even when I started a project 1999 and made it in 2000 alone, so I had to change also everything on the site because it was new rules. Also, we had new fire regulations, also regulations for the facade, and everything changed with the time. And this is me and my father. Um, this is 2013. It's Gezi Park demonstrations. The building at that time was closed because of technical reason. But young people, also people from my office, I think, they came. This is a photo nobody knows. It's more from the sides. They came from one of the entrances and went up to the building. So it was also a part of a demonstration, which is also important in the history, I think. And then we remember all the photo. 2 days or 3 days, it was like this. And of course, 3 days later, it was different. After Gezi Park demonstrations, many years, the building was empty. Nobody, we heard some things. They will knock it down, make a mosque, or they will make a shopping center. But then, I think 5 years ago, I had a call at that time from the Culture Ministerium. Normally, I've never worked with our government people. I made mostly private buildings, but because of this building, they called me and said, "We want that you design this building again." My first question was, I have freedom to make a new design or not? So they said yes. And then, um, but at the meantime, I showed this, I made, helped or made also myself a mini exhibition about the building because I don't wanted that people are forgetting the building. So that was the first in a cultural center called Salt in Istanbul, first exhibition. Then, as Hakan said in the beginning, I was the curator in the Venice Biennale, and in this Biennale, it was Rem Koolhaas was the main curator. I was the curator of Turkey, and then I said, he asked me about 100 years of architecture in Turkey. I said, my memories is only 50 years because I'm around 50. And then I made an exhibition about my memories. And in the middle of the exhibition was, of course, the opera house, the history that I showed you. At that time, I had no design, and so it was just the starting, what can I do in the future? When we had the first design, that was our first exhibition. I was invited in Berlin. There is an architectural gallery, very small, but has two shop windows. So I said to the curator of the gallery, I want to put the old model, section model of my father's building on the left, and show first time to the world how I want to make the design with the, again, section in the same scale, um, the project. And also, that was also our starting point for the design. Normally, some architects are saying I can start from zero, but I don't want to start zero because maybe I was the son, I don't know. My feelings was like this. And I started with the materials of my father. For example, this is a facade from the main building. There are very nice mosaics. He worked with an artist, uh, and then many materials. And then I put to hear my new ideas. So I wanted to make a new, how do you say, organization in my head as an architect. And at that time, this building is very famous in architecture. Everybody is speaking. Also, if you ask a waiter, he will know about this building. Also, architects are speaking about this building. So it's not only about architecture, so it's a part of Istanbul scene. Uh, this is one of my say. I said, if my father was there, so he will change also. I don't know if this is true. Okay, then now a little bit I will explain you now the project. This is how we started. Left one is how it would look like years, and then the second one I want to make something new, but not on the outside. I want to make something inside, but I want to feel this also from outside. Um, then I made many, how do you say, not a real PR. People came to me and asked in Germany, for example, they wanted to know how you make it you have a new palace, big airports, but a cultural center, how you design it. So it was a very interesting point for mostly Europeans in the Erdogan time. It was in an Italian newspaper when it was finished. Um, the main idea was starting, keeping the main building as it is. Of course, we had to make it a new construction and reconstruction because of the earthquake, but we had the memories of the old building from 60s. So I want to keep this idea. Then I asked myself, we had made a research of the capacity of the opera halls, and mostly on big buildings like Milano, Berlin, uh, Moscow, or big cities. They have a capacity of 2,000 people, and our opera hall was 1,300 people. So that was a starting point to thinking, why can we not make the main building, which was at my father's time, with many different halls and art galleries and small theaters, one main opera building with 2,000 people, and make a new part, an annex to this building. To the left side, the green roofs you can see here, because that was a place many years used as a car park and storage. And then I saw, you can see the red building is the technical university. We have the Atatürk library from Sedat Hakkı Erdem, very good architecture, and then some hotels. And then if you go more to the left, you are in the very nice park and nice city of the. So I wanted to make a new access to the Taksim place. So I wanted to make a building which you can go through, not a closed box. So that was the from my father's time with the parking garage. It was only parking, and next to it, it was the main center. This is the new approach, and this is again old and new. Here you can see this building with one hall And here you can see the second hall. I moved from the main building to the left, and then created a new street, which other uh, other I have a library now there, a design store, a tone studio, and also I want to put some cafes and restaurants, because the problem in these cultural centers is always, um, the Lincoln Center in New York as well. It's very busy. Why you have a coffee house? Then I remember I was in the jury, they put a restaurant in the middle, where you can go to the roof. In winter, not so much, they close it. But um, so if you go to London to Royal Opera House, there are 3 restaurants, uh, because in opera and ballet is not very well known in Turkey. So I wanted that the citizens of Istanbul, and mostly young people, coming here to meet each other. That was the main approach. Here we can see 3 different levels, and that was the old section. As you can see, the main hall upstairs, and then a smaller hall, and that was also acoustically not the best, and it had columns on the sides, so it was not the best hall. And then we change, as you can see, we keep the main messing, and then we made from this a new hall. And also the foyer, it was in 3 levels, and I wanted to have one space, and through that you have a second facade which you can feel also from outside. Here is also the first photo montage we made, and then the building, in 2.5 years, and it was COVID time, we could finish the building, which is a good record, I think. Of course, 1 year we had the soft opening, 1 year the contractors had to make everything 100%. This is now the new house. What I changed little bit, or not little bit, really the colors, because I want to make it more beige, bronze, but the name, it's like written like my father made, so it's not from computer at that time with hand. So we made this again, and this is the second entrance, where we have a big console, cantilever, and the art gallery was on the top of the opera house. Now it's on the left. This is again, left is the old one and right is the new one. And this is what we showed in Berlin in the gallery first time, was combination of the old building and new building. Here you can see these black ceramics. So for me, the opera is more red, but this red is a special color we choose, and then similar tiles in a bigger scale we want to use in the foyer. We made many mock-ups and covered the ellipsoid of the building. This is now the foyer. It's a inside. It's a complete the building, because the hall is bigger, and the shape change. Why? Because my father made 60s. They want to make against classic. They made more straight hall with sitting. But if you look to typical Milano or Berlin or other Moscow, they have always this U shape. And when they made the competition for the Oslo New Opera House, I remember the brief. I was a part of the competition. It was given as a U shape. So you have to use this one because of acoustic and visibility. So that's why the form started from this. But the colors, the beige colors is the same marble. Balustrades are the same. I don't know why, because I don't want to start from zero, maybe. Here we can see again. But I like the staircase, so I want to put the staircase again in the building. this one. It's now in the building 1-to-1. We made a real reconstruction. And it was good to study also what my father designed at that time and then to make with computers new, of course, with new technologies of lighting. And also he worked with an artist to make the ceramics. We made these walls also 1-to-1 in the main center. And the main hall, it's now over 2,000 people with 2 balconies, U-shape. Um, at that time I visited in Hamburg the Philharmonie. Herzog de Meuron have something on the ceiling. This is a stamp of Hamburg. So it's a signage from the city. If you go to Milano, you have these big lamp. And then I said, maybe I can design a lamp, which is when you are going inside the first 15 minutes before everything started in the stage, and then it should disappear. So you can make different forms. And also important are the back house. These are 3 rehearsals. We had not rehearsals like this in the old building. These are also a part of our architecture, because we have to think all these opera singers, ballet people on the core, this is their life. So they are coming on the stage just 2 hours, but all the year they have to work on these rehearsals. This is the second entrance from the other part. Here we have a smaller plaza, and here we have a small cafe house to catch the people. If you go, there is a cinema for 100 people for cultural facilities, and then the car park, or you go up and then coming to the second hall, which is for 800 people. And all these both halls are for acoustic good, and also you can use them amplified. So when there is a, for example, in the main hall, it was Chris Botti as a jazz singer, so it was everything amplified. So in the new opera house, I had this new technology again, which is very important. This is the cinema. And then I want to make always a design library, and maybe that was the place. And then I designed for 30,000 books. But I didn't know how the books can come in, because as an architect, you can design. I asked the culture ministerium, they don't have these books. I want books about architecture, about music, opera, uh, mainly design. And these are mostly these big books or small, but they are very costly. And we have it at home, some of them, but not the young people. So there is a friend of me. He has a nice design library because they are in the fashion. It's called Waco. His son came to me, and when he saw this under construction, he said, I will give all my books to here so people can join my library. It's just wood, as you can, sorry. And in the middle, we make a small amphitheater. So it's every week there is a book reading or a small, and if there's a not book reading, people are coming and sitting there as well. This is next to it, there is a center for children. So they have their classes there, and they can make small concerts here. So you can leave your child here for all the day. And this is again the entrance from the Taksim Place, the art gallery. And there is a design shop there, of course. We designed also the interior, and some restaurants. And then there was only place left over, which was the third connection to the city, the top of the opera house. It's normally on the back side. Before, it was a place where they made by hand the decoration and then put down to the stage. Uh, then one of my friends again rented the place, and I made also the interior. Normally, I don't make so much restaurant interiors, but because of the building, I want to. This is the entrance. Then you go up with the lift, and then you have a big terrace looking from this part of Istanbul. I think 270 degrees all Istanbul. And the main idea is here you have a big terrace canopy, folding walls, summer and winter, good times. It's one place. In winter time they close these doors, and then it's one place. Of course, here again we designed. It's a part of the game of the building. We designed also the sides where you don't have a view to Istanbul. I think we are just there now. You can see from the islands to the north part of Bosphorus. Okay. How much time do we have, Hakan? Huh? Huh? Are you bored or shall I? Okay. Okay. Um, this is a completely different project now. It's in the near to here again. It's near to the Istanbul modern, to the old harbor of Istanbul. It's a building from the Greeks. Um, when I was a child, I remember most of my friends was also non-Muslims, Greeks, Armenians, Jewish, but now they are not anymore here because of the politics. Maybe you know a little bit about the story. And they somehow they found me, the Greek community, and maybe you know on the Golden Horn is the Patriarch Bartolomeo. Somehow he wants to keep it still Constantinople for him. Yes, right. So they have a big history, but they have many churches here, many buildings, also schools. But they are not anymore Greeks anymore. Maybe they are now 5,000. They cannot use all these buildings. So they are looking what can we do from these schools, for example. The churches, they are renovating, they are using, but the schools, uh, it needs to have a new project. This is in Galata. It's a school made from a Greek architect. Um, then after the school was closed, somehow it was used from Istanbul Biennale first and some other exhibitions. Of course, it had not the best conditions, so it was always problematic. And then they asked me, can you make a renovation project of this building? It's now 1 year ago it was finished. The main idea was we can keep this new life without changing the patina of the building. Um, this is the ground floor. It's a very nice entrance. In the middle, on the left, it was shops, and we said they should be a part of the entrance of the foyers. It's coming now. There a nice coffee house with some workstations. It has also a new mezzanine. This is after renovation, the main entrance. During the in Istanbul is maybe you can see a little bit also. It's in many layers. That was a building before the building. So we found this out when we take new training of the foundations. It's now a part of our art gallery. And when you go up these nice staircases, you come to a very nice foyer. And then you see immediately this main hall, and you have to imagine it was a school for young kids. So it was not a high school university. At that time, they made very nice. What we made here, The back side was closed. Somehow we opened it again. What we just cleaned the tiles, repaired something, and we gave, of course, lighting, music systems, but without changing the main atmosphere of the space. This is the main staircase going up. It's a very nice balcony around the main hall. And then the classrooms, we change without changing the floors and the walls to an art gallery, but it has all or kind of a museum, we can say. Of course, a new art gallery, it needs a good systems for the clima. That was the first exhibition with the opening. This is every floor has a foyer like this. And then one floor, it's a more like small museum about the Greeks in Istanbul. This is the room for the what was left over from the school time. And here we found also in the storage some of the old, they are maybe not the oldest, but from the last period from the school. So we want to show how it was years ago in a Greek classroom. The roof was damaged, so we made a new roof from the terrace. From the roof, you can see the Galata Tower, also the Topkapı Palace. So it's now one space for a kind of a restaurant. So we don't know, somebody is renting the space to give good sponsorship for the main building because it needs money. This is how it was finished. Here showing in this axonometry without changing the main elements of the spaces to give a new function. Of course, we have lifts here, but you don't see them. Say they are in different positions which are hiding from the main rooms. This is the second project. As an architect, if you have a good relation with your client, and that was the case. So we had a good sponsors from Greece, Mr. Martinos. He has normally nothing to do with Istanbul, but he is sponsoring buildings like this. And then they said, we have another project on the Princess Islands. This is the second island called Halki. It's an old monastery. It's a theological school. We want to renovate the school. And we are now here, and this part, you can see the Princess Islands. It's the second island, and that's on the hill of the highland. On the green, very nice position. Again, very political because of, again, Muslim, Greek Orthodox, etc. history. They want to close always this school. But still, it was on life because it's a preschool. It's not like, and many people are coming from abroad because it is a very nice, very interesting library about theology. And now what we are doing here is, these are some photos from the old time, because it was also earthquake in Turkey. The first building collapsed, then they made a new one. So we researched maybe 1 year about the history of the building. And every photo we found, it was different. And then as an architect, you have to then decide to find a way for you. It was also drawings from the Greek architect about the facade, because with the time they made many changes. They took the windows away, put aluminium windows. They changed a little bit the roof. They closed many facade parts. And then we found also nice photos from the old time. And then started with the restitution project. It has also a very nice garden. And this is how it is now. Uh, it's a U-shaped building, and in the front you can see a building which was made years ago, uh, but it was not in a good shape. But the main thing is this is one of the buildings we discuss a lot. So it was also a part of the um, history. Normally, you can knock it down and say it should be like it was before. But then at the end, we decided to keep it as well, but make it rebuild it, because it was not built very good. It was made as a additional kitchen building, like on the left side. This is the main entrance, and these are all these aluminum windows. And here, the main idea is how you can make this building for the future as a kind of a theological university. Not anymore a school, high school, so more so people can come from all the parts of the world. Uh, they can have congresses like this. They can come together, and then it needed a hall for congress as well. If you have a building like this, it's very difficult to make a new building. Um, Also, we want to make the rooms for the classrooms not new, but with new technology. Also, they wanted student bedrooms and teacher bedrooms, and they wanted also guest rooms. So it's many functions in this building, in the new building. And then we decided to make an underground hall for 300 people that is hiding under the roof, to change the windows again to wood windows, but put this kitchen building as a foyer to down, and should be a part of these brick stone walls. Uh, and this is the very nice library. So we are keeping the main atmosphere. Of course, technically we are being the new floor, new climate conditions, but we want to keep the nostalgia of the room. Then we have special books, which should be in a glass case. It's just one room like this. Here is the floor with the classrooms. So there are also different types of rooms. Some of the rooms we will use also, a part is still there, the furniture. Some of them will be new. The corridors are very nice. Again, like in other school, these tiles we are just renovating and cleaning. And then we have also rooms. These are new under the roof. And this is the conference hall for 300 people. Because of the topography, we can enter from down from the garden, and also as well from the top to the main hall and go down. So when the building is finished, you will not see it from outside, only the entrance from the topography. Here, this is the inside. We started 3 months ago also to work, so it will be finished, I think, in 2 years. And then we have also an outdoor foyer. And the next building, which was tables, we are changing to a restaurant so people can come also to the monastery from outside. It has an entrance from the city, and it's a how do you say between the monastery people and people from the village or from the island or tourists, a meeting point. I have one last project. Okay. Okay. This is a much older building from 1500. It's in Beyazıt. It's next to the Istanbul University. It's very near to us. This place is very important. Before Taksim, that was the place of young students where they made demonstrations as well. It's very political as well. Uh, but in that case, this is starting 1800 till today. It was many renovations projects also of this place from different architects. This is the entrance, the main entrance of the Istanbul University. You can see on the right again demonstrations at that time. But our building is a smaller scale building next to it. It's next to it is a very important coffee house where at that time intellectual people meet together, and also the bazaar of the books. We call it sahaf. It's not anymore nice anymore in these days, but you had to find the antique books in at that time here. And this is the building. It was built as a kitchen for the poor people, and then last period of the Ottoman, it turned to a nice library. As you can see here. Then they made a new annex to this building, which is the Turkey Day for Daily Prince newspaper, the main archive. Uh, Somehow in the 80s, some architects or some other people came and they made a renovation like this. When we came to the building, there was a courtyard which was covered. In the middle was this column. It was made many additional things in this place. Here we can see on the left is the archive building, but our main object was more to the right. They wanted from us again a new reading hall and then a museum for books or kind of archive so people can come and research. In the courtyard with the point in the middle was the one with the concrete you saw. So it has also two entrances, and it's somehow uh, next to the nice Beyazıt place. And then we found out there is also a very nice garden behind, so it can be also a part of our project. Uh, we don't want to keep the main architecture of the building. This is again the middle of the courtyard. Of course, we take this column out, and but they wanted a covered space, so we made a very lightweight covering on the roof and renovate the main building around it. And this is the reading room. We renovate, just made a new lighting and new furniture. This is a part of the book museum. And then here, again, like in Halki Island project, we made these glass boxes. I think there are 4 glass boxes like this, where you have from the Ottoman time, the old books, which can be not in different conditions. So it's a glass box in a existing old building. And then when we search in the garden, it came out there is from the Byzantine time also some other parts. We covered it with glass. It's also a part of the building. Thank you very much.